Lab safety and scientific tools. Lab safety. The most important thing is to think before you act. Being thoughtful and cautious while experimenting will help prevent many accidents. General lab safety rules. No shirt, no shoes, no science. Make sure a teacher or another adult is present and follow directions carefully. Wear protective clothing, apron and/or lab coat, goggles, and gloves to protect your eyes, skin, and clothing from burns, chemical spills, splashes, and flying objects. Also, make sure that you aren't wearing loose clothing that could get caught on something or lit on fire. Wear closed-toed shoes to protect your feet in case something is dropped or spilled. Tie back long hair. It might get caught in something and yanked, or if you are working with heat, it could even catch on fire. Wash your hands after handling chemicals and living or once living things. Don't eat or drink in the lab. You don't want to mix toxic lab chemicals with things you're consuming. Keep the lab clean and organized. Put away anything you aren't using, such as backpacks or jackets. Don't run or throw things. Someone could get seriously hurt. Safety equipment. Know how to use it and where it is located. Eye wash. If a chemical spills or splashes into your eye, rinse your eye immediately for 15 minutes. Sometimes there is a water fountain in the lab just for this. Thermal mitts or tongs. Use when handling hot beakers or equipment. Fire extinguisher. Used to put out electrical, chemical, or gas fires. Fire blanket. Used to smother small fires on people or surfaces. If a person is on fire, wrap them in the blanket and have them roll on the floor. Shower. Use if a chemical is spilled and touches your skin either directly or through clothing. Remove any clothing that is contaminated with chemicals and rinse yourself underwater for 15 minutes. Accidents happen. Oops! Despite all of the safety precautions we take, things happen. Make sure to tell the teacher or lab supervisor about any accidents. Minor burn. Put under cold running water for at least 5 minutes. Lab fire. Get adult help immediately. A big fire isn't like a birthday candle. Blowing on it will not put it out and can make the fire spread. Also, water will not put out an electrical fire. Person on fire. Roll on the ground, preferably in a fire blanket. Again, get adult help. Water spills. Mop them up so no one slips. Chemical spills and broken glass. Make sure no one steps in the accident area. Ask an adult for help. Waste disposal. Most labs will have garbage containers labeled with the types of waste you can put inside. Ask the lab supervisor if you're not sure where to dispose of something. Hazardous waste. There are 6 major types of hazardous waste you may encounter in a lab, and each type has its own symbol. 1. Biological waste. Blood, mold, dead animals, animal waste, or any objects contaminated by these things. 2. Toxic waste. Anything poisonous, such as chemicals, solutions, or certain cleaning materials. Number 3. Radioactive waste. Anything contaminated by radiation, the emission of energy through waves or particles, perhaps from lab or X-ray equipment. You probably won't see a lot of this kind of waste in your school lab, unless you're attempting to make a Ninja Turtle by exposing the class turtle to radiation. 4. Flammable waste. Things that can easily catch on fire, such as gasoline, solvents, or alcohol. 5. Corrosive chemical waste. Highly corrosive or damaging chemicals such as acids, bases, and old batteries. 6. Sharp objects and glassware. Broken glass or sharp objects such as needles or blades. When working with heat, never leave a heat source unattended. Never heat something in a closed container. It can explode. Use mitts or tongs to handle hot containers. With chemicals, never taste or directly smell chemicals. A safer way to smell a chemical is by wafting it. Wear gloves and/or an apron or lab coat when handling chemicals and avoid chemical contact with skin. It can give you a chemical burn. Ouch. Always label containers containing chemicals and never use chemicals from an unlabeled container. Biological materials. Always wear gloves and protective clothing. If you're not careful, biological materials can transmit bacteria and disease. Yikes. Be sure to wash your hands even after wearing gloves. Biological materials are living or once living materials. Bacteria are single-celled organisms that have cell walls but no organelles or organized nucleus. Handle living specimens with care and make sure to provide them with the proper food and habitat. It is important to treat all living specimens ethically. That mutant Ninja Turtle is probably a bad idea. When working with electricity, make sure cords are not damaged. Damaged cords can cause electrical fires. Make sure electrical outlets are either grounded, this will usually mean the outlet has a little red button in the middle, or are at least 6 feet from a water source such as a sink. Make sure to keep electrical equipment dry. Water on plugs, outlets, or equipment can cause electrical shock. Keep cords out of the way so you don't trip on them or snag other equipment on them. Lab instruments and tools. A hot plate is like a stovetop, and there is a dial to control the heat. Usually, fluid-containing test tubes are heated using a hot water bath, so only use with adult supervision. A Bunsen burner is also used for heating things. Unlike a hot plate, a Bunsen burner is an open flame fed by gas, but like a hot plate, it should be ignited by a teacher or other adult. A ring stand is used to hold up beakers, flasks, and test tubes. It is usually used when heating, mixing, or measuring chemicals. A beaker looks kind of like a glass cup with a spout to make pouring fluids easier. Rough measurements can be made using the lines on the beaker's side. These aren't the most accurate. In a lab, we use many kinds of glassware. Most of the glass is heat resistant and durable, but if it heats or cools too quickly, it will crack or shatter. A flask is like a beaker, except that its mouth is much narrower, so it can be closed with a stopper. Like a beaker, the measurements on the side only give an estimation. A test tube is like a long glass tube rounded at the end, sort of like a long hollow glass finger. Stoppers are rubber tops that fit into the neck of test tubes and flasks. Sometimes stoppers have holes in the top for sticking in glass tubing, which can be used to connect the test tube or flask to other things. A test tube brush helps you clean gunk out of narrow test tubes. A stirring rod is a glass stick used for stirring liquids. A funnel is used to help cleanly pour liquids from one container to another. A funnel is wide at the top and narrow at the bottom, so liquid is caught and pushed out in a concentrated steam. A microscope is a tool that allows you to see small things up close. A microscope is essentially a really powerful magnifying glass. When using a microscope, we usually examine things on a slide, which is either a flat piece of glass or a flat piece of glass with a small depression to hold a specimen. In lab, we usually use a compound microscope, which is a microscope with two lenses for super powerful magnification. You can change the magnification by rotating to a different lens that is closer to the slide. Be careful not to crush the slide when you focus on a high power.